Hey everyone, it's Amy here, and I'm in beautiful Colorado Springs. I know some of you have been sending me awesome text messages and Facebook messages about the speak off that I was just in. So I got to be in the preliminary round, and last night was the finals, and I just had the most amazing experience. And so Reach Live is the event that's put on by Pete Vargas, and Pat Quinn is here, my speaking coach, and it has been such a phenomenal experience, and we're just kind of in the middle of it. We're on day 2. Hey Lance. And one of the things that I have been learning about is just really focusing on authenticity, and it's something that I am such a big believer in, and I'm so grateful to be surrounded by such incredible people from all over the world who've flown in for this event. And what has really inspired me is with Pete's message about deep human connection. Like, I'm all about deep connection, and so we speak the same language. So he's talking about when we're thinking about scaling, I know some of you are entrepreneurs who connect with me, and when we think about scaling, he's like, when I'm talking about scaling, I'm not just talking about revenues, I'm talking about scaling your impact. And I love that he said that, because it really spoke. He was speaking from his heart. He has this vision of helping speakers and entrepreneurs get on stages and really make an impact for 1 billion people by 2027. And he said the way we're going to do that is to get all of you and everyone else that he gets to influence to get on 1 million stages within these next 10 years. So what I love about this is that he's so clear and so passionate about his huge vision for the world. And it goes well beyond business, like well beyond business. And that's so much about what I talk about even with my community, about when you're an entrepreneur or anyone who has a bigger vision for themselves, it's all about thinking about, how can I go beyond where I am now? How can I make this a purpose-filled life and business? And how can I go beyond like my biggest dreams and goals? Because my vision is bigger than me. My vision is bigger than my fears. And so what it's helping me do is to really drop into my heart and think about what is that huge vision that I have. And I've had such major aha moments in thinking about my life and my big life experiences and why I'm so passionate about what I do. And I know that a lot of you know me as someone who is traveling and going to these business masterminds, and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a geek out on business and marketing messaging and deep connection and all that. And at the same time, to me, it is so much more than a business. It's about making that impact. It's about really thinking about how your life can make a difference on this planet, whether or not you're an entrepreneur. But for my community and who I really serve are entrepreneurs. And what I realized was that when I think about how many people are trying to find their purpose or even dig a little bit deeper, some of the things I've been learning about even myself here have been all about, what are the stories in my life that have brought me to where I am now? And what is it about my stories that have really got me fired up about helping entrepreneurs to deeply connect with their ideal clients so they can make the impact and the income they've always wanted? Like, why is that so important to me? And I was talking to Ken, yesterday and today about these stories in my life, and we really noticed some things that I didn't even put together. Like, I know Steve Jobs has talked about this, when you look back on your life, like, you can't connect the dots moving forward, but you can always connect the dots going back. And there's just been some experiences where I just feel like, wow, it really makes sense why it's so important for me to have my clients to use their words and their voice and their messages to make the difference that they want to make in this world. So I wanted to share a quick story with you, because this really came up for me this week in the last couple days, which is, I thought back to my childhood, and I thought back to when my mom was an early riser. Like, she'd get up at like 4:30 in the morning, super early. I've never been an early riser. And she had her morning routine, and she'd always read the newspaper. Like, she was a big newspaper person. But one thing that I loved about my mom was that she wasn't just reading the news for her own gain. She was reading it and always thinking about everybody that, she had in her life, like all the lives that she touches. So from her family to her friends that were all over the world. I grew up over in Japan on a military base, and she was an American woman who was a teacher at an elementary school. And So what she would do is, beyond just reading the newspaper, she would actually get out these pinking shears, you know, the scissors that are like zigzag for crafts and stuff like that. Like, she always liked to use these pinking shears, and she would cut out any article or comic or anything in the newspaper, a quote or a picture of something funny, anything that she saw that made her think of anyone. She would cut it out, and she would handwrite a letter or a card, and she would send it in the mail, you know, like snail mail, to wherever, you know, someone in the United States, so, you know, family, friends, relatives, or she would give it to me or my brothers. Like, she was always thinking about everybody else, and she would use words and messages to make that difference for them, so that they could feel validated and loved and understood and accepted. And that's all people want. Like, that's all we want. And that's something that I teach my clients. I'm like, you know, when you are sharing a message with them, when you're talking to them, when you're writing them an email, whether it's a one-on-one email, or if you're speaking from a stage, or if you're in an enrollment conversation, a sales conversation, don't just do it because you're wanting to make money or make a sale. Do it because you actually care about people. Even if you never meet that person in person, for those of you who are virtual and online. So I was thinking about this really cool upbringing that I had with such a nurturing, inspirational woman in my life, my mom, who was also a teacher for 42 years. So fast forward to, you know, 2010, and my mom, that's when she started to have these heart conditions, and she had to go to the hospital a lot to get tests done. And so I went to visit her at the hospital one day, and we were talking, and she seemed fine, but they were going to put her on this new medication. And so I said to her before I left that evening, I said, "Mom, is there anything that I can get for you before I go?" And she said, "Well, it would be nice to get today's newspaper." You know, it was evening, but she didn't have it in the morning because she was at the hospital getting tests done. And she's like, "I know it'd be old news by now, but I still would love to read it." So I asked the nurse, I was like, "Oh, is the gift shop still open so I can buy my mom a newspaper?" And she said, "Unfortunately, it's closed." So I said, "Okay." And my mom was like, "It's fine, don't worry." So I go downstairs, you know, I say goodbye to my mom, I give her a big hug, I go downstairs, and I'm passing by the gift shop, and I noticed there was still someone at the cash register. And so I went up to the door and I pushed it open. It was still open for like literally 30 more seconds, right? So I go in and I see this newspaper stand, and there's one newspaper left. I was like, "Oh yeah, I get to buy a newspaper for my mom." Like, she loves the newspaper. So I go and buy it. I go back upstairs to her hospital room because she's staying there overnight. And I push back the curtain and I walk in, and she's not expecting me because she thought I'd left. And she's like, "Oh, I thought the nurse was walking in." And I said, "Mom, look what I found." And she's like, "Oh." And so I gave her a big hug, and I was just like, you know, just happy to be able to do that for her. And what I didn't know, this is where I get a little emotional, is that that was the last time I was going to see her in her normal condition. And it was a few days after that she went into cardiac arrest and was on life support and in a vegetative state for nearly 4 months before she passed. And I'm so grateful, like, I'm so grateful that the last thing I got to do for her in that condition, in the way that I remember my mom, with her beautiful smile and her bright eyes and her love and compassion, was an act of kindness. It was an act of kindness. And it was something as simple as a, 50 or 75 cent newspaper. And I think about that moment, and I think about how that little thing just really influenced my life. It influenced my life. And there's so many other things I learned from that whole life experience of when my mom was in the hospital. I won't get into all that right now. I'm just on a little break from Reach Live, but it's totally a part of why I do what I do. It's not just about business. It's about really practicing kindness and generosity and using your words and your voice and your message to make a difference for other people. And a lot of people don't do this anymore. They don't handwritten notes or send emails out that really are connecting with them, whether it's one-on-one or, you know, a marketing email. It's not even about that. It's just being generous. So anyway, I'm reading some of these beautiful messages. Hey Tracy, hey Julia, hi Michael. Gabrielle, hi. Hey Judy. Hey Kelly. Oh my gosh, this is so great. Judy, you're so sweet, thoughtful. Oh, thank you so much, Judy. So anyway, all that being said, thank you for listening to my story. It's something that I think will become a part of my future signature talk, which is something I'm really looking forward to sharing my mission, my purpose, my vision, helping people really use their voice and their words and their messages to make that impact and legacy that they're meant to make in this world. I'm so committed to that, and I know that as my business evolves and as my team evolves and as my community grows, that's what's going to be happening. Like, I'm so committed to that. I'm committed to any one of you who are having a bigger vision for yourself and you are just so ready to have that breakthrough with your message and putting it out there in the world. So anyway, all that being said,